Welcome to the world premiere of London Reel's fourth feature-length documentary film, IronMind. I also want to thank Nick Anakis, who is one of my students. Nick has spent the last 5 months working on a piece of art.
Voila! This painting represents his core, his mission.
Tonight's movie is about us getting to terms with our demons. I never ever thought it could be the source of light for so many people. I give you the world premiere of IronMind.
Under pressure reveals true character. What are you going to do?
At the end, I think you showed an incredible sort of self-awareness when you challenged John Joseph.
He's a fucked up guy who's been through all this stuff, but you know, he's trying to figure out life. You know, he really does care. If you look at addiction, you can trace it back to trauma. Maybe if you can understand it better, you can empower yourself and then just be the hero.
It is childhood trauma. But it's not what happens to us in life, kids. It's how we interpret what happens to us. I thought the movie was very good. It was a great job, and I'm proud of you. You make me proud.
What key realizations showed up for you?
The ultimate thing is to give back to this collective, and we are all one. And it sounds like a bumper sticker, but it's the goddamn truth.
They say that the human race is doomed, that we have lost touch with our true nature, that the media has corrupted us, and that the planet has no future. I disagree. I believe that humanity is full of hope, and that our salvation lies within each one of us. My name is Brian Rose, and my job is to listen, the oldest method of learning known to man. Each week I seek out individuals that are changing the world, people who are living and thinking in a different way. Their stories will challenge your beliefs, make you question your choices, and perhaps inspire you to change. I never planned on doing any of this, but now I can't stop. Join me on this mission and make humanity something we can all be proud of.
Boom, this has got to be one of the most incredible nights of my life. The world premiere of London Reel's fourth documentary feature film, IronMind. My challenge to run an Ironman triathlon on a 100% plant-based diet and go back to New York City and face my demons with none other than John Joseph, the lead singer of the Cro-Mags. What an amazing night, incredible people there. Dan Pena was in the building. We had a great Q&A with Timothy Shieff, the vegan prince. We talked all about confronting your demons, childhood trauma and addiction. This is amazing, and you can now also watch IronMind the movie on the link below. Watch it, share it with your friends. It's an emotional journey, and it's by far the best film we've ever made, and I know you're gonna enjoy the Q&A from this evening. And back at the World Headquarters, we are closing out our Business Accelerator, so if you wanna get involved with that, learn how to turn your passion into a business in 8 weeks, the same way I did with London Reel, here's a little bit more about what we do.
London Reel doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Reel Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, We have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level, together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.
Good evening, London Reelers. How are we doing? Welcome to the world premiere of London Reel's 4th feature-length documentary film, IronMind. Make some noise. For me, this has been an emotional journey. For the past 8 months, I've been obviously running and swimming and cycling. But for me tonight, this will be the last time I ever watch this movie, because I'm sick and tired of watching myself crying on the screen. But I do know that this film is going to go on, and I really want it to help millions of people around the world, because there's a lot happening in this film, and it's not just about endurance, and it's not just about diet. And I want to get into that before I show you the film. I want to thank the people that have traveled to be here, people from the States, Europe, we got people from Australia and Asia, and some Business Accelerator graduates here, right? Yeah. We got a whole graduation weekend for our BizAc, so it's great to have you here, and looking forward to spending time with you this weekend. I also want to thank someone who came all the way from Costa Rica to be here, and that's Mr. Daniel Cleland here, who's the founder of Soltara Healing Centers. Stand up for him. And Soltara is sponsoring this evening, and I was there about 6 weeks ago and spent a week down there with Daniel and had 3 ayahuasca ceremonies. I was hanging out with Dennis McKenna, and this is the subject of our next documentary film. It's called Dissolution, and it's an exploration of the human ego, of this rise of tribalism around the world and our connection with the environment. We're super pumped for that. And if any of you have questions about plant medicines, Daniel's the man to talk to. And it seems as if Dorian Yates, our most popular guest ever, is going to be hosting his own retreat down there in November. And so if you want more information, you can ask him or me. So thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that. Also, I want to thank Addiction UK, and they are a mental health and addiction treatment organization here in the UK, who we have been sponsoring throughout this entire adventure of IronMind. They do incredible work here dealing with people with substance addiction, and we want to continue to support them. So if you want to know more about them, you can go to londonreal.tv/charity and learn more about what's going on. And I want to continue to fund those people. They're doing incredible work, and if I had a place like that back in 2001, things would have been very different. So if you're here from Addiction tonight, or if not, there you are right there. There you are. Stand up, please. The Addiction people. Yes? Thank you very much. Yeah. I also want to thank a man by the name of Nick Anikas, who is one of my students of my Business Accelerator program, but he graduated a year ago. And he came to London during the graduation ceremony that the rest of you will experience. It's a crazy time. You come down to the headquarters, we have a big dinner, we make a lot of connections. And towards the end of the meal, Nick kind of cornered me in the back. And he came up to me and he said, "Brian, I want to paint you." I said, "What?" He's like, "I want to paint you." And the first thing I thought of was kind of like, Playboy Mansion painting. And I thought, well, it's London Real, maybe. And he said, "No, I want to do an oil painting of you." And I didn't know what to say. I was a bit taken aback, and I was like, "No, I just don't think so. The only people I know that have oil paintings made of them are, egotistical billionaires with their own castles in Scotland." And so I said, "No, I can't do that." And he went away. But Nick is very persistent. And if anyone in London Real knows this, I love a good pitch. And so Nick came back about a month later and spent about 4 or 5 seconds twisting my arm, and I said, "Okay, let's do this." And so Nick has spent the last 5 months working on a piece of art. And Nick's an incredibly talented artist, award-winning. He's also a pretty damn good businessman after we spent some time with him. And I was wondering if you would like to see it. Yes? I have not been allowed to look at this thing, but Nick had one request. He said, Brian, all I ask is that you put it up at London Real World headquarters. That's all I want from you, but that's what we're going to do. And so I get to really hang out with this guy in my office for, I guess, eternity, right? And so I thought I would bring Nick up, and maybe he can tell you, the method behind his madness. So let's give it up for Nick. Come on up and join him. So here we are.
Here we are.
I've never done anything like this before, so I don't even know how it works, but maybe you can tell everybody here, like, why even do this in the first place?
Okay, so first, well, why am I standing here on this stage? I am Nick Hanikis, as he said. I'm a realist painter.
Let me put you in the light a little bit.
All right.
I'm going to teach you about media, too.
Okay, hello. So, and I'm from Slovenia. Right? And 4 years ago, what happened is that I started listening to Brian's interviews while I was painting. And he inspired me to give more of myself and to follow my dreams. And that resulted in me becoming his student on Business Accelerator 1 year ago. And that was a hell of a ride. Yeah, but we're here. So we have this beautiful opportunity to share this amazing piece that I'm also really proud of it. And I'll tell you a bit about it, okay?
Yeah.
You ready? All right, because it's a movie premiere, so it's weird that we're also showing the painting, right? But the thing is that this painting represents his core, his mission, his vision and the victory. Because he had to go through all these crazy obstacles, we're gonna see it here, and he did. He grew, he developed, and he became better. Look at him. Like 1 year ago, I can see the difference, right? Because we haven't met for 1 year, I guess. So the thing is that I wanted to depict this person that inspired me to become better. And he's standing for enlightenment, empowerment, and transformation. And I was like, man, I want to depict this man that stands for a change of individuals, which then evolves into change of humanity, right? So, and I know this painting is not about him, but it's about the mission. It's about the change in the world. So, allow me to add a tiny bit of magic to this event. And I would like to represent to you the museum quality portrait painting of Brian Rose. No, you'll see it.
Yeah. Okay, how do we do this?
You're just gonna slowly.
Slowly?
Like this,
okay.
Pull downwards.
Okay, pull downwards.
Right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Okay. Slowly. Slowly. Voila!
Beautiful, man. Grab that microphone. Wow. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And so you had to look at me for 5 months while you did this.
Well, not only that, he was like in my living room for 5 freaking months. But we got used to it. We got used to it. We got, we became good friends. So let me tell you a tiny bit about the symbolism inside of the painting, okay? So first of all, you see Brian. Hey, Brian. And he's standing in his strong stance, standing in his purpose. And, he's changing the world. That's what he stands for. And this is what it's reflected here. And he is facing towards the right, which represents development and growth. And in the back, you have a bridge, which is connection with people. And it also represents the oldest way of learning, which is asking questions and then listening, right? And then behind the bridge, you have the shard, which represents the new world, now and the future. You have more symbols, but I don't want to be too long.
What else? What else?
What else? What else? So, in the back, you have this beautiful curtain. And this is just, you know, I don't know if the word is right, luxurious, but, you know, the mission of this man and all this influence and changing people's lives, it's reflected also in this. It's beautiful, it's elegant. Yeah. So, and he got himself beauty all around with beautiful people, amazing people like all of you guys, right? And also the bricks, he's standing strong, right? And this represents the strong foundations because he's building the business and changing the world very smart. Like the steps are just perfect. And he inspires us all. And thank you, Brian, so much for doing all of these amazing things that you do. You've been inspiring me for years, man. And thank you for this opportunity and possibility that I was able to be with you for 5 months.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. It's absolutely beautiful, man. That's a hell of a guy to live up to every day when I walk in. So, no, thank you. It's absolutely beautiful, man. To Nick, yeah? Thank you, brother. Thank you. Ah, wow. Okay. Thank you all. Appreciate that. And Nick, thanks for all the incredible work. And yeah, now I got to live up to that guy every day, which is just fantastic. You know, next month, we're actually celebrating the 7th anniversary of London Real. Pretty incredible, right? And the first thing I think when I hear that is, if I was a banker, how much money could I make in 7 years? You know? But it's actually been an incredible journey. And every single person that walks in my studio, they change my life. Some of them are here in this room. And they change it because what I do, well, it's fucking real. And the special ones, we do more with. And that's when we started making these documentary films. The first one was with Dorian Yates, the 6-time Mr. Olympia, and I went down to his place in Spain, and he put me through a leg workout that I'm still sore from. Had me on a yoga session, taught me about spirituality, had me smoke something, but I didn't inhale. And that was the start of this new form of medium, because we thought there's only so much you can do with 2 people sitting and talking in leather chairs. And so from there, I traveled to Israel, and I spent time with Ido Portal, and he taught me about movement in my body. And he's the coach of Conor McGregor, one of the greatest fighters of our generation. And that was an amazing experience. And last year, we, of course, premiered our documentary with Dan Pena, the $50 billion man. Give it up for Dan Pena, who was in the house here. And, you know, it's been an incredible adventure with these people. And about 10 months ago, a guy named John Joseph walked into my studio. And my first impression was that this guy looked like he smoked a lot of crack. And as I learned more about him, I found out that he, in fact, had smoked a lot of crack. But there was more going on there, you know? John had been the frontman for the punk hardcore band, the Cro-Mags, which had global significance in the 80s. He had once been a Hare Krishna monk. He had been vegan for 37 years, and he had competed in 10 Ironmans, and he was 56 years old. And I knew something more was going on here. And so that's how this whole crazy adventure started, and what you're gonna see is the last 8 months of my life. You will see me training and competing in my first Ironman. You'll see me going to a 100% plant-based diet. Can I hear it from the vegans in the house? Come on! Come on! Right? And so it ended up being this crazy adventure. But the truth is that tonight's movie, it's not about athletics and it's not about a diet. You know, tonight's movie is about us getting to terms with our demons. That's what this is about. And these other things are only vehicles. Because I believe that we all have some secret that we're holding back. Something that we believe will cause us a massive amount of shame if we let it out. And that secret, even if you don't know it, it makes you play small. It makes you anxious, and it makes you fearful of what's out there. And I know this because I was that guy. You know, I was at London Real. I've got a successful show, a successful business. I know people all around the world. I had this secret handled. I kept it a secret from my friends and even from my wife for 16 years. And I thought everything would be okay. But it wasn't. I've never felt like I've felt today, and I never thought this big, dark, deep hole in my past that I was just gonna bury down where no one would know anything about it. I never ever thought it could be the source of light for so many people. And I still remember being at home with Mariana when I confessed to her of everything that happened to me in 2001, and I'm like, baby, I gotta go, and I gotta write an email. It was Saturday night to all of the London Reelers, 100,000 plus people. And I'm like, baby, I don't know what to do. And she said, you know, she said, it's your story, tell them. And I wrote this email. It was one of the most hardest things I've ever sent, but it was me coming to terms and being honest about what happened. And I had all of this fear that was gonna happen. I thought all of this shame would happen. And what I got back was about 700 replies that said, thank you. I've been there too. Thank you. My wife was there. My daughter was there. My grandfather was there. Thank you for talking about it. I never thought I could talk about it. And it taught me a lot about what we do by pushing these things deep down inside. Some of us push them so deep that we don't even remember these traumas that we had as children. And some of those I saw when I was at Daniel's place a couple months ago. These things come out in these plant medicine ceremonies. And so we respond to them in different ways. Sometimes it comes into addiction. And so that's what we're talking about tonight. So while you watch this, you're gonna see me and John, and it's gonna be crazy and it's gonna be emotional, but I'd really like for you to think about your story and think about if it's really as precious or as shameful as you think it is. And maybe it's time for you to stop being the victim of your story and to start being the hero of that story, because it's just a change in perspective and you can get power from it. And I would like to see all of you, and honestly the rest of the world, getting power from their traumas or their fears and going out and doing big things. You know, we're running out of time and we need people to go big and be creative and connect. And that's what this film is ultimately about. And so afterwards, I'm gonna come up here with my good friend Timothy Shieff, no stranger to endurance or veganism. And I wanna have a discussion with you, and I'm here to listen if there's anything you wanna talk to us about. And again, I wanna see you taking this stuff and using it as an energy for your future. And so, on behalf of me and the entire team at London Real, I give you the world premiere of IronMind.
A strong body builds a strong mind. That's why I'm pushing you to do this race. Because it teaches you that you can do anything you set your mind to and smash the limitations that we place upon ourselves. This is not Pussy Man. This is Iron Man. Protein. Are you going to make me race by myself, or are we crossing the finish line together?
Can I have the London Real team up here, please? Dave, come on. Come on up here, guys. Meet the team at London Real. Come on, guys. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Yeah? Boom. Yeah, good. Here they are, folks. Give it up for the team at London Real. They make this happen. Yeah, anybody here? Yeah. Thank you so much for watching that. We're going to do a Q&A with me and Timothy Shieff right now, and I've actually got a video John recorded for us as well to play. So thank you so much for watching. We'll start that right now. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, good. This is Timothy Shieff, by the way.
Hey, guys.
Good friend of mine. Yeah, a lot of you know him. What'd you think?
Man, incredible. Like, there's so many layers to the whole thing. It's very interesting that that's the direction that your journey went, because last time I was here, we saw the Ido Portal documentary, which was the most inspiring thing I could have watched at that time. And then today, this morning, after yoga, I went for a run, a bike ride and a swim.
Really?
And then now I'm here watching this. So it's like, I'm not saying, you know, it's crazy, man, it's crazy.
If you tell that to John Joseph, he'll get you to do an Ironman.
Yeah, what a wild guy, what a wild character. I actually went for dinner with him about 4 years ago in LA, Cafe Gratitude.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was just as crazy. And there was like a bunch of like gang tattered up guys that were all vegan and just like massive just come out of jail kind of thing. And we're just like talking about it. It was so funny, man. He really lives it. He really lives it. Cool.
And I think we're going to play a quick message from John. So I guess we'll start off with that. Can we play the message from John that he recorded for us, and then we'll have a quick chat here.
Greetings from New York City. To all you guys at London's premiere of IronMind. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it. There was some confusion, cross-booking stuff with the Cro-Mags. Our booking agent booked us for Minneapolis to do a festival, and we couldn't get out of it. That being said, I want to give major, major fucking props to Brian Rose for everything that he accomplished in this fucking magnanimous task that he underwent. Coming back to New York City, facing his demons, you know, and taking on this task to do a half Ironman and to do it plant-based and kick ass in the race. And we have to give major respect to Samantha Murphy, our coach, who coached Brian to his victory. You know, she was there, like I said, every step of the way and providing positive reinforcement and showing us how to get it done the right way. What this film should show every single one of you is that no matter how fucking difficult things in life seem to be, if we apply ourselves 100% and have an iron mind, we can overcome anything and achieve monumental things in our life. And that's what it's all about. Nobody comes here to be fucking ordinary. We all have to kick ass. We all have that infinite potential within us to do amazing things. And it's all about mindset. I'm very fucking proud of Brian and what he was able to accomplish. I teared up several times, got emotional over the whole thing because this has been part of my recovery, Ironman, and you know, physically having to beat my mind with a stick every fucking day. I wish I could be there with you guys. I was fucking devastated when I found out that they had booked this show, but you know, this is my job. That's what I do. And I wish I could be there, like I said, and see all the homies who worked on this thing. Brian assembled an amazing crew with his London Reel camera people and editors and everything. It was a fucking joy to work with these people, man. And these guys brought a level of professionalism that, you know, made it a joy to show up and work with them. And that's a very rare fucking thing these days. So props to all the London Reel crew, and I hope you enjoy this. I can't wait to check it out. Brian Rose, love you, man. You're just a fucking stalwart, man. Much respect for you, and peace out. I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the film. Peace.
John Joseph. Right?
That was very real. I did wonder why. Is that working? I did wonder why I wasn't here, and that's a
yeah, you really wanted to be here, but you know, John, he's like always going to the next thing. You know, he doesn't stop. He's published another book already. He's always touring hard. He's like 56, and he'll go, and he's just on to the next, on to the next. And so, you know, John's being John, which is what he does great.
What a guy!
But I can start doing great John impressions now. It's in the Vedas, man.
The Bhagavad Gita, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just from me watching that sofa conversation, you know, it was so intense, you know, and we didn't know it was going to end up that way. And I remember the crew had to like drag me out of the bedroom because I was like really getting emotional. And then, you know, with John talking about that stuff, he played this clip in a bunch of schools that he went and talked to with him on the sofa, because I don't think he's ever actually told it that way too, you know, so. But yeah, there's lots of weird layers to this movie, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a weird motley crew, me and John, you know?
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch. Do you mind if we start with some of the more sports type stuff?
Yeah, let's do it. And then, yeah, I'd love to answer some questions, and I'd love to hear your questions too. So.
Sorry, I took notes.
No, that's good. I appreciate it.
So in terms of background, because it didn't really go into when she asked you what kind of athlete, you said you've done your movement and things like that. You look like a really natural swimmer. Do you have some background in swimming at all? I mean, 30 minutes for 1.2 miles is pretty...
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we were in the river, and there was like a little current, and with the wetsuit on, it helps. And I had an incredible swim coach, Bartek, right here. Stand up. You're barely in the film, but stand up. Stand up. Take a bow. Come on. This is Bartek. He's very shy. He made me delete all the vlogs that I took at the different pools because he didn't want to get in trouble. But he's in the movie briefly. There's 2 shots. But I spent 3 days a week with him. And he was hard.
The swimming lane in progress, you like book the whole lane and you're doing the swimming class in progress.
Yeah, well, he's hardcore too. Yeah. He would get in there and make me follow him for like these 20-minute, 30-minute sessions that were you would push me hard. We swam 3 times a week, you know, and so that, and he's an Ironman as well, so he knows what he's doing, and that really helped a lot. So, but I had started swimming with him, funny enough, like 9 months before. I was. One day, like I couldn't work out where I wanted to in the gym, and I just jumped in the pool, and I realized I sucked. And then I saw him teaching someone, and we just started working on basics. And then John Joseph came on, so it was a weird thing. I mean, but I had never done anything distance. When we started swimming, I couldn't even do like 12 lengths without getting tired.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Something like that. So, yeah, so that was the background there.
And then the running, because I think I've actually bumped into you twice on Primrose Hill, even though I hardly ever go there.
Yeah, so
you were out running. This is before all of this. You would just occasionally be out.
I used to do hill sprints on Primrose Hill. That was my thing. I used to take my daughter until she was old enough to tell me to do one. But I used to make her go till she was what, maybe 10? And then when she turned 11, she was like, "You don't have to I can't go. I won't go." And I was like, "I guess you can't." So I started going alone. So I used to do like 10 hill sprints. But I was always about that like hard cardio, martial arts type training,
interval intensity,
but never found endurance interesting at all. Like I was never really drawn to it. So,
yeah, it's nothing that's appealing from the outside because it's nothing flashy or like big tricks or jiu-jitsu submission. It's none of that. But it's very internally. It feels like it blossoms more than the other stuff in a way.
Well, because you went from breakdancing to parkour, and then you started running. I remember seeing your videos. I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Because again, it doesn't look as cool, but internally it feels way more rewarding, I think.
Yeah, and when I started doing these runs, I would start, like, tears would come down in 17 kilometers, and I didn't know what was going on. You see those vlogs, and I'm, like, really grateful. It all started unraveling, and it only happened in that first 30, 40 days. Towards the end of it, I had kind of processed all that stuff, and I was just ready.
It's a honeymoon period when you get into it. I think it's realizing that you can do more than you expect in the beginning, and having that admiration for people that do Ironman and people like John, and then you realize, oh, I've got a human body, I can do it as well.
Yeah.
Once you get in that realization, it's really start to enjoy the vehicle that we're given. Did you notice, one of the things I noticed, because you start to strengthen the heart with the endurance stuff, you're going for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on the bike. As you strengthen the heart, I feel like it opens you up in the non-physical. Like the physical heart gets stronger, but that grows in like you said, the spiritual is linked to the mental and everything. It feels like everything sort of grows and you're releasing, you're crying. It's all sort of letting go and strengthening at the same time. Did you notice anything like that?
Yeah, it's a weird place to be because you're alone out there. And I saw an interview with a guy named Pat Miletich, who was an old school UFC fighter in like UFC 10. And he just started running distance, like long distance. And he said, it's harder than MMA. And I was just like, what are you talking about? No one's trying to punch you in the face. But he's like, you're all alone with yourself, and you have to just deal with all of your stuff. And so, yeah, on those runs, yeah, maybe it was this whole physical into the mental, you know, and then that took me to the spiritual. So, yeah, maybe it was a heart thing. I don't know. I'm still kind of new to this.
Did you have a favorite of the three?
Yeah, I really didn't like the bike, the static bike. When I was swearing on all those vlogs, that was me having to go do the static bike 3 times a week and just sit there. And I had the Iron Man on named Tim Don, who's like world famous, and he actually broke his neck and came back. And he was like, Brian, you can play this video game where you race against other guys. And
what's it called? Zwift?
Yeah, Zwift. I still found it horrible.
Yeah.
Just sitting on that bike. I mean, I can run and get into it, and the swim I could, but the bike, I just had a really hard time going in and having to face that, and then a treadmill afterwards. Yeah. Being out on the bike was better, but going around Regent's Park 26 times is...
Is that why you did it? I thought it was Regent's Park.
That's where I was, and my feet were literally just blocks of ice frozen. It's just not nice. Going on a distance bike is better, but London's not the best city for that. So.
I was thinking John Joseph going through New York, it must be the one.
He goes to like Brooklyn, Rockaway Beach, but he's crazy. He's hardcore.
So how was the transition to veganism? How was the vegan diet? How did that work out for you?
So I'm still plant-based.
Really?
A lot of people thought I might have like a steak and a beer, like to celebrate. I couldn't actually. One of my students, that was John McMahon, who interviewed me at the finish. He's like another guy from the Business Accelerator, and he flew there and set up that whole vegan dinner you see, and he got that great interview. Like he's better than me at interviewing. And so I was going to eat with them that night anyways, but I just didn't want to go back. And I also was like, I need a better reason than I feel like a hamburger. Like that's a BS reason. And one of my guests, the U.S. Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, always says discipline equals freedom. And I just felt, if you have discipline to do something, it gives you freedom. And I did all of this training, 46, turned 47 before the race, like hard pounding on the road, cycling, everything, no injuries. And John said in that kitchen, and I thought he was just full of it. He said, this is going to make you recover faster. And all I know is it felt great and it worked. Once I ate enough, like I had a real hard time with calorie consumption. And my B12, I think that I had that before, because I don't think you can develop a B12 deficiency in 8 weeks. But yeah.
So you actually had a deficiency, because you didn't actually say you had one. They just went in with this.
Yeah, I was low, and when I got that injection, I did feel better.
They say as many meat eaters and vegans have it's the same percentage of people have B12 deficiencies.
I think it's possible. Yeah. So now I just keep that in mind and I watch it. And then I had the beautiful Mariana. Give it up for Mariana. Baby, stand up. Stand up, baby. Stand up. Stand up. Right? So she went all in and started cooking for me. I mean, baby, you wake up at 6 a.m. and make pancakes and all that stuff and pack it and dal. And we just, baby, you were a little concerned at first, right? Because, you usually cook meat and you're like, can I do this? But once we started looking into it, I mean, so many options. We fell in love with plants again and vegetables, and we tasted them. And then there was all sorts of other alternatives if you have to go. That was actually vegan sausage you saw there when I'm like, this is so good. And it was just, amazing. So I found that really incredible, and something happened with my body, so.
It's an experience that you can't explain. It's like, when you live and you try it, then you feel the difference.
I mean, I'm an engineer by training, I'm a scientist, but when I see patterns, I have to acknowledge them even if I can't explain them. So like when I do London Real, I'm happier. When I don't make it about me, I'm happier. When I try to make it about other people, it works, so I keep doing it, and the same in plant-based diet. I feel better, everything sits good, so I'm gonna stick to it for now. But I mean, I'm constantly questioning, like you are, but I'm going to stick to it for now.
Good man. Yeah. At the end, I thought you showed an incredible sort of self-awareness when you challenged John Joseph, saying, "Are you not just seeking the next challenge? Is it not just time for just peace?" Like, yes, you felt great and elated, but the next time you might not feel as good as the first time, and it sort of cottons on from that. I see the main difference with sort of the addiction of something negative as something positive is with this addiction, like what you had with heroin or alcohol or whatever, it can be destructive after. You do it and you feel good during it, and then the destruction comes after. Whereas I think the difference with something like that is you train and you suffer beforehand, and then the feeling good comes after. It's the other way, it's sort of flipped, and so you have to earn the feeling good. And I wonder if that's a distinction you noticed.
That's a really interesting point. Because it was a natural question. I mean, you meet this Ironman community, and they're amazing people, and there's so much support there. I mean, all those people.
How was
cheering.
the atmosphere?
Oh, it's just amazing.
It was emotional, just because when you know what it's like, people cheering for miles and miles.
They can see your first name on the bibs. They're calling you out. And in the run, the run was really painful. My stomach hurt so much, and my hamstrings were cramping up. And I had these adults trying to high five me, and I was just like, get the fuck out of my way. But then there was this 9-year-old kid in a wheelchair with muscular dystrophy holding the hand up, and I was like, like, are you kidding me? Like, give me some of that. And so, like, just so much support, and they have, like, you know, themes and music, and so that the community is amazing. But you also see that the community is full of a lot of recovering addicts, and then you have to ask that question. Maybe it's because of my job. I ask that question, like, is this another addiction? But I mean, you make an interesting point. If you kind of, I think the bad addictions, and maybe the addiction people could tell me on that stuff, is where bad, whatever that means, is where, yeah, you pay for it afterwards. But it also goes back to that Gabor Mate discussion I had. Did people like Gabor Mate? He rocks the orange jumper like nobody's business, right?
He was cool, man.
He's a deep dude, and like, you know, he says, like, you know, you using was the only thing you could do at that point because you had no way out. And this is a great message from this movie. I was a smart guy. I had resources, I had intelligence, and I couldn't get myself out of this little box because I didn't understand how to fix me. So the only way to do it was to use, because I didn't understand this trauma and I couldn't look at it from a different angle. So it's a question to ask, and about this addictive thing that is IronMind.
It's a very good question. And it makes you almost feel a bit guilty then for doing it, but actually you've got to try different experiences as you're going through and just enjoy each one and notice when you become too attached to one thing as you're out. Everything, I've said it to you before, everything we do is medicine. So it's, if you're abusing one medicine, then maybe try a new one. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to like watch yourself, you know? And yeah, I had to ask John that question and a few other harder questions. So, and yeah, just kind of examine that whole behavior. So yeah, I you know, and he's on to the next one, but that got me here too, you know? Like that addiction for goal seeking that I'm questioning got me here to all of this healing. It's much better than me just sitting around at home thinking or looking at the wall. So, you know, I don't know the answer. I do think he's writing the next book. He's on tour. He's doing the next Ironman, and I'm the same. Like, I'm worse. I mean, baby, you know, like, you know, I'm already making the next movie, and like I can be really bad too, and I need to just make sure I try to watch that, or I'm back in the same situation.
Do you want to talk about the next movie now, Tito?
Yeah, I do want to say one thing about that last part with John, is that, you know, I was speaking with my director, Luis, who isn't here. He's gutted, he's in Tokyo, and he's a big part of this movie. He makes all my movies with me, and he's incredible. And we check each other all the time. And I said, I owe John this one thing. And I read John's book. It's called The Evolution of a Cro-Magnon. It's an amazing book, and he does it in audio, and he does all the accents, and like, it's a riot.
Did you read it while you were cycling?
I listened to it actually before I got to New York, you know, and so I knew a lot about him. And one thing that always bothered me was he had so much anger around this foster child situation. And in the book, he goes back to the home, and he finds the woman that ran the home and was just really cruel to him and allowed a lot of these bad behaviors happening from the other boys. Wow. And he confronts her, and he's really tough, and he gets in her face, and he yells at her, and he puts her down, and he scares the shit out of her and leaves. And I was like, this is so inconsistent with everything else about John. How come no one's ever asked him this? And I was like, Luis, I gotta ask him. And he's like, Brian, don't ask him. He's like, that's gonna be a rough conversation. He's gonna be mad. And I was just like, that was like the one thing I owed John for all the work he did. I owed asking him that hard question on the camera, just to see. And Bada Ryan, the guy from the Hare Krishna thing, saw that, and he said, Brian, you know, I'm glad you asked that, and in time, we'll see if John processes that. And maybe he won't. Maybe his answer was the right answer, you know? Maybe there's a time not to forgive, you know? So,
yeah, it did seem like he was holding on to that.
And you know, there's no real right answer, as you know. So that was a really interesting part, and we included it in the movie because a lot of people resonated with this whole kind of dichotomy of the human being, you know?
Yeah, you can't just switch it off, I guess. That's
yeah,
spiritual,
and it's honest of him.
Yeah, very honest.
He could easily say, I forgive them, and not. But
true.
John,
yeah, he lives his truth very much.
Yeah.
We could go, you want the audience, or you want to start talking about?
Yeah, I'll just mention dissolution, then I'd love to answer some questions from the audience. And I'd just love to hear what you thought of it, or if that brought anything up. And yeah, again, like Gabor Mate, you know, he believes that all addiction comes from childhood trauma. I don't know if I agree with him, but it's interesting to see that. He said it doesn't necessarily cause it, but if you look at addiction, you can trace it back to trauma. It doesn't mean trauma causes addiction. And he's very firm on that. He's a very wise man. And so it's interesting to just try to link that and try to go back. And it doesn't mean you walk around as a victim to your childhood story and you tell everybody about it, but maybe if you can understand it better, you can empower yourself and then just be the hero. Like, I'm now the hero of this horrible story. And I even wrote Gabor Mate and I said this shameful thing, and he said, why is it shameful? And so I'm owning this story now and just using it as power, and it's amazing.